day, every season. I ball, I ball, I ball every day, every season. Ball, I ball, I ball, I ball every day, every season. I ball, I ball every day, every season.
Welcome back to the roster, ladies and gentlemen. This is Deshaun Fauntleroy. On today's episode, I have Ryan Rosumny. He's down at Pomona College in Claremont, California. This is a gentleman that grew up playing quarterback his whole life, found himself in college at a smaller college, I believe it's Division III. I'll let him tell you. But we're going to talk about what is life like when you've played one position all of your life. The quarterback position is normally the leadership position. A lot of times when you come up, it's the coddle position. You can't hit them. You can't touch them. Sometimes it's the coach's son. Sometimes they're favored. Usually those kids are the ones that quit when they get to the next level, especially when they have to change positions and going to play tight end, going to play receiver, cornerback, or safety. We have Ryan Rosumny on the episode. Ryan, I want you to tell our audience where you're from, what high school or what high schools you went to, and what life has been like in college since you've got there.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you having me on. I grew up in Vancouver, Washington. Started off going to Union High School for my first 2 years of high school, and then I transferred over to LaSalle Prep over in Milwaukee, Oregon. So I finished up there, graduated from there, had a great experience despite the COVID hurdle throughout my junior and senior year of high school, and then came down to Southern California to play college football. And that's been great so far. COVID, unfortunately, has cleared up and hasn't been too much of an issue anymore. But yeah, since coming here, it's been a whole new lifestyle of trying to balance academics and football and a social life all in one.
So it sounds like you graduated in the spring of 2020?
2021.
2021. So yeah. Did you play a fall season or did you have a senior season?
My senior season was canceled initially. So the fall season got canceled, and then we ended up having a 6-game spring season that year. I think it started in March. So no playoffs involved in that, just a 6-game season, which is a lot better than 0 for sure, but definitely weird.
So in general, you normally have summer training. There's a training camp. The fall gets canceled. A lot of kids are staying inside. Some are getting in trouble. Some are doing drugs. They're drinking. Let's be honest. People are smoking. They're getting overweight. They're getting in trouble. Somehow you keep it together. Tell us what that was like for you. How did you stay on task? College is a lot of our goals. That was my goal when I was younger. I couldn't fathom having my senior year canceled, so I can understand how some kids would be depressed, stressed out, have anxiety, not being able to get out the house, or their parents not letting them leave the house. What kept you motivated during that time, or how did you stay motivated?
Yeah, that time was definitely a time like no other, especially for kids in my class and my team. Like I saw it firsthand with myself and with all my friends who are trying to get recruited to play at the next level. And all of a sudden, all these coaches who are asking to see your senior season, they're just moving on to the next guy, So that whole element of it really added to the trouble of it. But what was able to get me through it all was the boys next to me. Like all of the kids on my team, we didn't stop showing up to workouts. We still showed up to the field, whether that was with coaches or without. Like we had player ran practices, and we didn't, for a good month or two there, we didn't even know if we would have a spring season. So to be able to do that without an end season in sight, I think that's just a testament to how much they really cared for the game and how much I cared for the game. We didn't want to be done with it. We worked so hard since the end of the year before. So just going to the field and seeing all them like still show up, that's the biggest thing that kept me going, because there was nothing worse than staying in the house and just thinking it's over. you always got to keep hope no matter what the situation is, even in the darkest of outlooks.
Yes, I can certainly understand. So the fall is canceled. You have some winter months to train. You find out you're having a spring season, 5, 6 games, maybe a bowl game, 7, depending on the state you were in.
Yeah.
You're a quarterback. Talk to me about the recruiting process for you and how you wound up at Pomona College?
Yeah. So coming out of my junior year, I had a pretty good year coming off junior year. Was able to record some accolades like first team all league, get an all state recognition. But I really wasn't developed yet. So because of that, a lot of coaches, specifically at the D1 FCS level, wanted to see senior film. So a lot of the schools I was talking to were Ivy Leagues, like Columbia, Cornell. And then I was also interested in trying to go to a Big Sky or something more local. And schools like that really wanted to see my next step before they would ever think about offering me, just because I was still not developed yet. So because of that, once fall rolls around and I don't have a season, it really made it tough on me because I don't have any film to send to them, through all the strides I was able to make through quarantine. And quarantine really was a helpful time for me to find myself and develop, just because I had all the time in the world. So I put on 30 pounds from my junior to senior season, got faster, more arm strength, just everything. I felt like a whole new player. So it was really unfortunate not to be able to show that on my film until later on in the spring. But actually before my spring season even came is when it was still in the summertime. I knew my season would be canceled. But that's when I got a call from the offensive coordinator here at Pomona, and they really liked me. This is based on my junior film. So they really liked me, offered me, but they had a pretty strict commitment date. So I only had a few weeks to decide on that because it is such a rigorous academic school. They only get a certain amount of slots to use for football. And just weighing all my options and all things considered, when I consider the academics of this place and how selective of a school it is, a school that most people can't get into, I decided to put my eggs in that basket before my season even happened in the spring.
So you get down there, you're going down there as a quarterback. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes. But before coming here, I had the conversation with my coach already. They like to recruit quarterbacks here, with the idea in mind that they can play somewhere else. And QBs that come here kind of take that one of two ways. Some of them are eager to get on the field somewhere, and some would prefer to stay at quarterback, which completely understandable. People who have played quarterback their whole life, I mean, it's so different than other positions that QBs want to stay QBs, but I came in with the mindset that I'm going to play whatever position I need to play to get on the field. And I don't care where that is, honestly. Like this will be the last few years of football that I play in my life. So why not try something new? Like I've played QB for so long. Like I'd like to get some new adventures out there and new memories from playing football while I can.
So when you got down there, did you take any snaps at quarterback or was it instant?
Yeah. So my first training camp when I came freshman year, I had about a week and a half, 2 weeks of playing QB. And then I actually was a close contact with COVID, which at the time, like, I don't know how it worked, but at the time I ended up having to do a 10-day quarantine. So I didn't even test positive for COVID, but 10-day quarantine, miss almost all of fall camp. And then the day I came back, I was just focused all on receiver. Whereas before I was kind of split in half and half. But I was like, I'm not I didn't want to split half and half anymore between QB and receiver. I wanted to just focus all on receiver because I knew if I was trying to play quarterback, I wasn't going to see the field for a while. We have seniors who know the system. So as soon as I came back from quarantine, I was all in on playing receiver and didn't even take a snap at QB.
So you get to Pomona College, you're taking half the reps at quarterback, you're taking half the reps at receiver, or you're going to meetings for both to understand the offense or the positions.
Yeah, initially I was meeting with the quarterbacks for the first couple weeks, and then once I switched to receiver, I really just embraced that and did everything with the receivers. Started going to the receiver dinners and the film sessions with the receivers. Just doing everything I can to immerse myself into that.
So how many games have y'all played so far? Are you 2 games in or 4 games in?
This year we are 5 games in now. We just had our 5th game the other night.
What's your record now?
Right now we're 4-1.
So let me get this straight. This is your freshman year or your redshirt freshman season?
This is my sophomore season. So last year was my freshman year.
Okay, so you played. You didn't redshirt. I understand.
Yeah.
So last year you played a little bit of receiver.
Yeah, I played a little bit of receiver. Got a little bit of playing time. Also had certain scenarios where I had a little package, a wildcat package to just run the ball.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. Didn't really play QB, but I was lined up at a QB spot. So just doing little things here and there as a freshman. It was really good to get on the field as much as I could and just see the new speed of the game, which is definitely the most different thing from high school, just with everyone out there being able to run around and make plays.
I agree 100%. It doesn't matter what level you go to after high school. It's a much faster game.
Yeah.
Usually takes a few games to adjust for the average individual. So you get into this year. Talk to us about this year, like where you're at, where you started on the depth chart. Are you running with the 1s now, the 2s? Give me some stats. Tell me some good stuff.
Yeah, so I think this year I've been able to make significant strides from last year. Just considering last year was my first year ever playing receiver. I had speed to play the position, but I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know how to run routes. Didn't know how to block. So being able to have this whole off season of just repping routes every day or 3-4 days a week. Coming into this year, I felt really confident in stepping on the field and getting stuff done. So coming into this year, I've been running with the 1s since camp as a starter, and I've been able to reel in 4 touchdowns so far in 5 games. So I do feel on another level since last year with the whole off season of preparation to play this position. And then I was talking to Warren a little bit earlier about this, just blocking. That's the biggest thing playing receiver that I'm still working on right now. Not the best blocker yet, but working on it every week because those are the plays that'll spring a 5-yard run into a touchdown out on the perimeter. So working on that every day, trying to get better.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it sounds like you're self-aware in terms of understanding your strengths and weaknesses. And I think as a young man or a young woman in life, the earlier you can understand that, the better off you're going to be in the long run. You know, speaking of strengths and weaknesses, what would you say were some of your early frustrations or early learning experiences getting to college?
Earliest frustration with college in general would definitely be time management. Once you get to college, it's a whole new deal, and you have nobody in your ear telling you what you have to be doing all the time. And I don't know how other programs work, but for us, we have practice at night every day from 7 to 9:30, 6:30 to 9:30. So people like me, I have class until 4 p.m. and then you eat dinner, and then you got practice until 9:30. So with a load of homework on your back, it can get real stressful for sure, especially when you're not used to it. I'm starting to settle into that now and just accept that this is what I need to be doing. Just stay locked in all day, every day. But really, at first, when that's not what you're used to, it really does weigh down on you. All the stress of the combination of academics and playing football at the same time at a school like this.
Yeah, it sounds like you're at an academic school with high rigors. What are you studying?
I'm studying economics. I'm a declared major as of last semester. So I'm studying economics with the focus on math. I might be doing a math minor as well.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. One thing I can say, if you're a student athlete listening to this, the quicker you can figure out what your major is and a quality major, the better off life is going to be. And you're going to graduate faster because you're going to be on pace rather than taking just random electives, trying to stay eligible to play your sport, because eventually your time will run out and the ball will stop, or you're going to have an injury. So I can appreciate what you're saying on that end, because it took me a long time. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree. And I was one of those guys who couldn't figure it out until much later. But once I did, time flew by and I completed my undergrad. But had I knew early on between the first and the second year, I probably could have got a master's,
Yeah.
with the things that I do now in terms of exercise science and being in the sports performance industry. So if you're listening, again, listen to this young man, figure out your major now, talk to your counselors now, get with your guidance counselor now, or your coaches or whoever plots that graduation strategy out.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I would recommend too is if you feel ambitious enough, like don't let people tell you what you can't do. So I'm planning on graduating in 3 years actually. So this is my second year here, but I'm on the track of a junior. So I'll be done next year. And throughout the every time that gets brought up, people will say like, why are you doing that? Is that even possible? Like trying to question you. But if that's what you want to do, then you can do it. Like it's not impossible. It just takes hard work, and the amount of money that can be saved at a non-scholarship program like this. I mean, I think it's extremely worth it when you're considering who's paying the money for you to be here, and how hard you can really push yourself to work if needed. So
Yeah, man, for real. If I had a t-shirt, I would send it to you. It would say champion on the front, or definitely winner. And the reason why I say that is because, ladies and gentlemen, what he's talking about is really personal belief. And the other half of it is self-reliance. You have to take your life into your own hands. You can't wait for your mom and dad. You need help for your mom and dad. You need support, but at some point you have to stand on your own 2 feet. So like this is an incredible episode. This is some quality knowledge in here. And as we get into the third quarter, Ryan, I want you to talk to the student athlete. What advice would you give them in terms of, you're from the Portland metro area, you know, guys play 7-on-7. They know each
yeah,
other, whether you're on the other side of the water in Vancouver or you're in Portland. Most guys will tell you that they're going Division 1, or they got some Portland State might have sent them a letter just for general admissions or something like that. And they're telling people that they have offers to save face.
yeah,
You know how it works.
I know
What
how it works.
advice would you give to kids about the experience that you could have playing Division 3, Division 2, or NAIA
For
football?
sure. For sure. If anyone knows that whole dynamic of offers and how that recruiting thing works, I'd be the first person to tell you that when I was in high school, all I cared about was I want to get a D1 offer. Because that's what's cool. And I think there's too much thinking like that of the status of what an offer does for you, and it's too much about that versus what it really means. I would really encourage people not to think of it as what division they're going, but what is this institution going to do to set me up past college? You know, Like football, as fun as it is, as much of a passion as it is, it's going to end for most people. I mean, a lot of people want to make the league. I understand that, but to be aware that that's not necessarily everyone's end goal. I mean, there's so many other aspects to it to take into account as far as what is this place going to do for my life. While I can also play football, that's just a bonus, you know. Looking at it other than football, what can this place do for me? I think that's huge, and it can't be pushed aside as far as the academics go, and not just academics, but the culture of what you're going into. So like D3 football, it's obviously not D1 football, but it's not a joke. Everybody here cares about it just like any other program would. And everyone here has the ability to ball out too. So it's not a joke, and it should be taken seriously.
You know, you get to Pomona College, you're away from home. Did you go through the whole homesickness thing?
For sure. I mean, I was definitely a guy too that would say that that won't be me, you know. I'm so eager to get out of here right now. That was me in high school. Um I think that whole homesick thing it means different things for a lot of people. Like a lot of people miss their family, a lot of people just miss their friends. I mean, I went through just about all of it. Like I miss my family, miss my close friends for sure. Like I have a tight group of close friends back home. I think what a lot of people struggle with coming to college is you go from having friends that truly know you and know everything about you, you know you can trust them, to now having a ton of friends who all don't really know you that well. You know, like you don't have anybody that knows everything about you like you used to. So just getting past that and being open with people and letting them become close with you instead of closing yourself off, I think is huge. And then I also really got homesick just the climate wise. I do not like the climate in Southern California personally. I love the Pacific Northwest, the fresh air, the rain, all of that. So
Oh yeah, so you're down there with all the cars, the smoke. What is that? Air pollution or whatever in Southern
yeah,
Cal?
I feel like I'm just breathing in straight dust every day.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, man, as we get into the fourth quarter of this conversation is, at what point did you learn to effectively communicate with your coaches about either what you wanted, either about what they wanted out of you from things that you didn't understand, or you explaining to them the responsibilities that you wanted to entertain or go after?
Yeah, I mean, that whole situation is definitely hard as a freshman, and even as a sophomore now, like that's definitely something that I'd like to build upon still, is just the ability to express my opinions. And I've always haven't been the most vocal player. I'm more of a put my head down kind of guy and show you what I'm about on the field versus saying anything about it. But I really feel like as you gain the coach's trust with your play on the field, it adds so much validity to what you bring to a meeting room and the questions you can ask. Because no matter where you're at, if you don't back up anything you're talking about on the field, then you're not going to have that respect naturally in a meeting room or in a game plan. Like when they're making the game plan for that next week, if they don't have your trust, they're not going to be thinking about you. So I think it's all psychological. Like, what do those coaches think about you? Do they trust you? And if they don't, then show those coaches they can by working your ass off every practice and every play, and doing the little things like blocking on the perimeter, stuff like that, not just the big plays, the big fades downfield, stuff like that. So,
You know, you said something key about the meeting room and having the respect of your coaches in the meeting room, having the respect of your teammates or your peers in the meeting room. You know, as we close out, I want you to talk to us about the importance of studying film. because, you know, there's a major difference between studying film in college versus what's taught in high school.
Yeah, I mean, studying film is a huge thing in college. And they'll know if you don't watch film is the thing too. Like high school, you can get away with not watching any. I definitely went through phases like that, but college, they'll know. They make sure you watch it, and we will have up to 2 film meetings per day. So like for me, every day my hour lunch break is spent in a meeting room watching film, and then after our practice at 9:30 we'll watch film for a while too. So a lot of your time, you spend more time watching film almost than you do on the field. So just especially once games start rolling around and you're working specific game plans for different teams, I think it's the most important thing, because no matter, like, once you get to the college level, you got to understand that everyone's an athlete, everyone's strong, everyone's fast. So what's going to give you that edge to outperform them? It's knowing their tendencies, knowing what they're going to do, and knowing the most effective way around that, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first with Ryan Rosumny of Pomona College in Claremont, California. Ryan, I want to appreciate you, give you a shout out. Appreciate you taking the time to come on, you know, giving up some of your Sunday evening where you could be doing homework, watching film, studying. You know, we here at the roster, we appreciate that. And, you know, I want to wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. Actually, you don't need the luck because you're prepared, you know, from studying the film and being at practice every day. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me. Always love to talk.